Alright, we doing this thing again? Yes, we're doing this thing again. I have no idea why this isn't working when my phone is making things vertical. Oh my god, this is just... It's been a bad couple of weeks. It's been a really bad couple of weeks. I want it to end. But I don't know what's going on with this orientation thing. The thing is not locked, but it says it is, so we'll just make it through. Oh my god, this... Okay. We're going to get through that. We're going to get through this video being this way. I apologize, but it is what it is right now. I'm flustered now all of a sudden. Okay. So, welcome to Talking Dogs. Robbie Falk here, as usual, to talk about Mississippi State sports. The Bulldogs have lost 3 consecutive ball games. The phone is not operating correctly. We're in vertical mode right now. I can't get it to turn. Our pets' heads are falling off. It's just a disaster right now in my life. The Steelers were terrible yesterday. Everything's fine. Everything's perfectly fine. Everything's not perfectly fine. Anyway, 40-17, your final score. Mississippi State lost to Alabama to lose its 3rd consecutive ball game. They now sit at 2-3 on the season, 0-3 in SEC play, and it's just a rough time right now in regards to Mississippi State. I think it is Zach Arnett trying to find himself as a head coach, this coaching staff trying to figure out how to dictate the rest of the season. It's just right now, everything's kind of in flux with Mississippi State under Zach Arnett. And it hasn't been a good first impression this year. And I think what you have is you have a coach that has never been a head coach. He's had to learn on the fly, and this is not an easy job at all. If any of us went out there on the field right now, even with a few years of experience coaching college football, this would be a really difficult job to take over an SEC football program for your first ever head coaching job. I don't think that we've all taken into consideration how hard this is. But that's no excuse for Zach Arnett. He's got to figure out a way to get it done. They're going to have to figure it out. This coaching staff's got to find a way to make this team competitive in this league, to win SEC ball games, to get bowl eligible, to win the Egg Bowl, things like that. Right now, it's just a tough time for the Bulldogs, and they've got to find a way to get out of this. And Zach Arnett's talked about it. He mentioned at his press conference today, he's angry. He doesn't like where things are with his program. He wants to be better. So, I think that was a good thing for Zach Arnett to do, is to be transparent, talk about how frustrated he is right now, how angry he is. And he wasn't afraid to admit that. And I think that was pretty good. That was a good step in the right direction for him to talk about, kind of the situation at hand, where Mississippi State is. He's not accepting where they are. So I think that it's just it's a work in progress. Nobody wants to be at this point. Everybody wanted to keep this train rolling, but it is what it is right now. State is in a tough spot. And these next few weeks after the bye week, it's going to be paramount for the Bulldogs to win games. You got to go on the road and play Arkansas, Auburn, and Texas A&M. You've got also Ole Miss, who's playing well right now at home. So, those games, Kentucky, who's playing really well, your 2 home games are tough. And you got to go on the road against teams that you could possibly feel a lot better about. Not possibly, you would feel a lot better about beating those teams at home. But you got to go on the road and play them, and that's going to be a difficult task to beat Arkansas, Auburn, Texas A&M on the road. Getting to 6 wins is going to be tough for Mississippi State, but they need to find a way to do it. And right now, that's kind of the the process is finding ways to win games. And they got to do it with a banged up roster. They got injuries all over the place. Travion Williams was announced on Monday that he's out for the season. I'm not sure what the injury is. I think it's going to be knee related, leg related for him. So that's a huge loss. Backup defensive tackle was a guy that was projected to be, next man up next season for Mississippi State. That's a huge loss to lose a guy like that up front when you have a very thin defensive line right now. And then Calvin Dinkins is still out. Jaden Crumedy went down against Alabama. I don't know what his status is, but he seemed to be okay there at the end of the ball game. You just got injuries all across the front on the defensive line. You got some injuries for your skill positions. It's just it's a tough thing to navigate right now for Mississippi State, but they've got to find a way. So we'll monitor it, see how it goes the rest of the season. But right now, State's in a rough place. 2-3, 0-3 in the league, and no SEC game is guaranteed at this point for Mississippi State. All these games are going to be tough. All right, so let's get to your questions. Again, I apologize for the orientation of this video, the vertical video. I don't know why, but this my phone is saying that my orientation or whatever is locked, and it's just not turning. So it is what it is. I'm going to forget about it and work through it. All that matters is that we're all here together. All right, so let's start off with Turkey Hunter. Will Arnett and staff get another year to write the program? I'm leaning towards yes. I just don't know if it's fair to only allow him a year and then move on. But it's not really fair to Zach Selman either to kind of be tied to Zach Arnett because he was not hired at that point. At the end of the day, it's going to be his decision. He's going to have to make that call. If they go 4-8, that's going to be a difficult decision to have to make. If they win 6 games, then it's pretty apparent he's going to still be the coach. And I don't think that he should not be the coach if he goes 6-6. A losing record, then you have some conversations that need to be had. And, again, Zach Selman is a guy who has to look out for the greater good at Mississippi State. If he believes that he can get a better coach, a better option than Zach Arnett, then he needs to make that call. If he doesn't believe that, then he doesn't need to blow things up just for the sake of blowing it up. Because this is year 1 for Zach Arnett. He could very well turn it around and be a great coach and really successful at Mississippi State. We don't know that, but this is year 1 for him. Coaches have rough seasons, and especially first-year coaches. I mean, Brent Venables last year, it looked like he was going to be a disaster at Oklahoma. I think they've looked pretty good in the first part of the season. They look like they're much improved. Obviously, they're going to have more than likely more wins than they did last season, and they got a shot at double-digit wins this year. But, he had a little more pedigree to him. He had, he was on national championship teams at Clemson, and he had more time spent as a defensive coordinator. Mississippi State's had Zach Arnett as their defensive coordinator for 3 seasons, and he jumped straight to the SEC as a head coach. So it's going to be a tough situation if Mississippi State's 4-8 or something. How about use top-tier coach money for 5 players from Stringer Films, 5-star players? Well, the problem with that is Mississippi State can't pay for players. It's got to come from the Bulldog Initiative. And, I guess technically they could cheat and take that money, but you don't want to do that. So, I don't know. But, if you want some good players, Mississippi State is going to have to continue to funnel money into the Bulldog Initiative. Not Mississippi State, but fans. I guess, to have a shot at those players. I mean, that's kind of the catch-22 here. I mean, you have a team that is not right now not fun to watch. They're not very successful. But if you want to continue to compete, fans have got to support this more than ever. And it's tough to ask fans to take their own money and spend a lot of money on a team that's not winning. It's a very difficult process. And I don't envy you guys at all having to decide, am I going to go spend money on going to a game this weekend that I know they're probably going to lose? Not this weekend, but last weekend. Do I give my hard-earned money to the Bulldog Initiative? And I know that a lot of people got upset about some comments that I made on that, but that's kind of the thing. I mean, fans now hold a program's fate in their hands, at least a part of it, more than they ever have. Fans can now impact the program more than ever because paying money to the Bulldog Initiative and to the NIL is legal. You can basically say, I want this money to go to this sport. I want you to spend this money on players, and it's completely legal. So fans can dictate now more than ever what happens within a program. And I think that it's just it's a tough situation when your program's struggling to tell fans you better support now more than ever. But that's kind of, you got to keep doing it if you want to win. I mean, that's where we are in college sports now. Stringers, any word on those checks from Dak and Jones? They haven't got back to me. Maybe at some point later this week. They've been a little busy, but we'll see if they can get back to me and I can get them to write a few checks for the Bulldog Initiative. Hadley McBrayer, Hail State, Robbie. I love the loyalty to Will, but man, oh man, you got to give Mike a couple of series. Yeah, I mean, they do need to see more of Mike Wright, and I know people have been wanting to hear why he's not playing more. We've asked that several times, and we get the same answers all the time. They love him. He's a great guy. You know, they're going to utilize him some. It just doesn't seem like they're willing to create any kind of controversy there with the quarterback position. They're just not going to. He's getting plays here and there, but they just do not seem willing to give him full series or anything like that, and I don't know why that is. Late in the ball game the other day, State's down 23, 24, whatever it was, and you still got Will Rogers in the game midway through the fourth quarter. I mean, at that point, it's time to see some of the backups, get some guys some playing time, and we just didn't see it. I think Mike Wright might have got the last possession, but it was too late then. I just don't understand. I mean, in this offense, it's been obvious that it can run well with Mike Wright at the helm, and I'm not one of the people that thinks Will Rogers needs to be benched. I just think that you should give Mike a little more time out there, a few more plays, keep the defense off balance, run some more zone read or RPO. I mean, he's a guy that can move the pocket. He's a guy that can really hurt opposing defenses in the run game. And he's got a solid arm. He's gotten better throwing the football. I don't get it. I don't get why he doesn't get a little more time. It's not like the offense has been setting the world on fire all year. Jimmy Johnson, how ironic was Arnett's comments on Dontarie Russell? If you play well, you get more playing time. What about when you play bad? That's a good point. And maybe they're more willing to do it on the defensive side of the ball because there's so many injuries there. But yeah, I mean, it's been strange they haven't given more opportunities for players on the offensive side of the ball too. And some on defense too. Stringer, Arnett looked like he wanted to choke someone on the sidelines. I think he does that a lot. That look comes out just about every day. He's given that look to the media a few times too. Dirty 808. What's killing us is the defense, but Bama game, the turnovers buried us. Yeah, the turnovers were rough. 3 interceptions, Can't remember what happened after that third one. Um, Maybe kicked a field goal. They had at least 14 points off of turnovers. And the first two were just killers. You had the pick six from Will Rogers. Your defense had been getting stops, and then you get up a touchdown on defense, and then you throw the pick six right after the touchdown. It's 14-0. But you got back in the game. It was 17-10, and State was playing well, had momentum. You give up that long drive, but you still have a chance to get a field goal or something out of that drive right before the halftime. Throw a pick, give them a short field, touchdown, ball game's over. I didn't think that the defense played particularly great, but they played hard. They just didn't have the guys. I mean, the injuries have really taken their toll, and then State on the back end has been really bad on defense, defending the pass. It's hard to ask them to stand tall the whole game. Eventually, they're going to kind of fall apart when they're playing in those kind of situations, and that's what happened. They just started to wear down. So the offense did not help them out at all. Bassing and duck hunting. If we go 0-8 in conference play, do you think Arnett gets canned after this year? I don't know. I just don't know what's going to happen if they falter that badly. I don't know what normal situations, first year head coach, you don't make that move, but this is a little abnormal. Not a little, this is a lot abnormal. You don't have very many coaches pass away in the middle of their tenure and have to make that call, but that's what happened with Mississippi State, and now it's going to be Zach Selman's call. Zach Selman is going to have to make that decision. I don't know. I tend to lean towards no, but I'm not inside Zach Selman's brain. I don't really know how he operates in these situations because he's never been an athletic director before, and he might not want to make that move right away. He might not feel comfortable enough going out there and making a big time hire. I think it sucks sometimes, but it happens. ADs reach out in the inner circles of college sports, and they talk to agents and see who might be interested. If you're 0-8 and you're 4-8 overall, and you talk to some coaches that agree in principle that they would come to Mississippi State or have interest in Mississippi State, and they are significant upgrades, then you probably make that move. Personally, and just taking, beat writer out of the mix and taking a guy that grew up cheering for Mississippi State, following Mississippi State sports my whole life, I want Zach Arnett to succeed. And even in my job, and when I get into the professional part of it, I don't want him to lose his job. I don't want his family to be uprooted. I would like for Zach Arnett to be really successful. That's my hope. So hopefully that's what happens. Hopefully things start to come together for Zach Arnett. I'm not going to give up on the guy just yet. One thing I know about Zach Arnett is he hates to lose. He is a good coach. He's learning to be a good head coach, and we'll see if he's able to do that. But he's a good coach. He's got a lot of Mississippi and Mississippi State tendencies about him, but that's not something that should, alter anybody's thoughts on whether or not he should be the head coach. If he's not winning games, at the end of the day, that's going to cost him his job eventually. So he's got to win games, and I am myself. I'm pulling for him. I hope he does. Stringer, even the new haircut couldn't change our look. I know, man. I tried to change it up for the brand. I even grew out my beard after the mustache. I thought the mustache might have cost Mississippi State the LSU game. It did not. So turns out it was not me. I didn't do this. Lewis T, will we get Calvin Dinkins, DeMonte Russell, and/or Jordan back for any meaningful starts? It's going to be a while for Dinkins, I think. has a foot injury, I believe. But Arnett did say today that he will be back at some point this season. So he's not out for the year. Russell, he will either be back this week or he will definitely be back against Arkansas. I don't expect his injury to linger. Jordan, is that Jordan Davis? I don't know what his situation is, honestly. He's been in or out. Dirty, the media did predict this, by the way, so I don't think Arnett's job is in jeopardy unless he flips out and does something crazy. Yeah, I mean, they were definitely more skeptical than us. And I got to give them credit. They finally got their predictions on Mississippi State correct if things hold. Took a while, but they finally did it. Bassing and duck hunting, do you think if we keep using Mike Wright for a play or two here and there each game and not give him a chance, he'll transfer? Possibly. And, I don't know if I guess he'll have a year. He has a year. I guess if he graduates, he'll be eligible. I don't know if he can transfer within the SEC. I don't know if you can transfer if you only have 1 year left. But, yeah, he could. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But also, he's going to have a wide open quarterback job next year at Mississippi State. So, I mean, he'll have a chance if he decides to stay. Heath Johnson, what do you think about our bowl chances? Well, I'm assuming a lot here, but I do think Mississippi State beats Western Michigan and Southern Miss. So that gets you to 4 wins. You got to steal a game because you're not going to be favored. You probably won't be favored in any of the SEC games the rest of the way. It depends on what they do in the other games before they play Kentucky, but I don't think they'll be favored at Arkansas. And if they are, it'll be a slight favorite. I don't think they'll be favored at Auburn because both those games are going to be tough conference games on the road. Won't be favored at A&M. Probably won't be favored in the Egg Bowl. So you got to steal a game in there. You're going to have to, or 2 games. You're going to have to beat Arkansas, Auburn, A&M, Kentucky, or Ole Miss. You got to go 2 and 3 in those games. That's not a hard ask, honestly. That's not impossible, but you've got to do it. And that remains to be seen. They went to South Carolina, who's one of the worst teams that they're going to play the rest of the schedule. I think they're probably better than Arkansas, but Arkansas hasn't had Rocket Sanders fully healthy. He just got back last week, so we don't really know how good Arkansas can be when they get Rocket Sanders fully healthy, and he should be fully healthy this week against Ole Miss. But their defense isn't great, but they're probably right there with South Carolina. And then Auburn's got a really good defense, so they should be able to hold Mississippi State down. I don't know. It's going to be tough. I think 6 wins at this point, seeing Mississippi State, seeing kind of the struggles that they have right now, injuries, Zach Arnett and the staff not quite being up to snuff here, I would take 6 wins at this point. If you're a State fan, take 6 wins and try to figure it out from there. Keep the bowl streak alive, and then in the offseason, pour in a ton of money at the transfer portal and go get some great players. But 6 wins right now is it's going to be tough. That's going to be really difficult. But those games are winnable too if Mississippi State plays up to their potential. Tyrese Ball, I'm a freshman at MSU. I want to walk on this spring. I don't know if I want to play wide receiver or quarterback. Which one do you think they need the most? Just give them your services, Tyrese, and go from there. Tell them you're coming in to help the team no matter what. If they need you to play defensive line, go out there defensive line, Tyrese. Get it done. Heath, who do you think wins the West at this very moment? I think Alabama. This week's big for Alabama. If they beat A&M, then they're in really good shape. And they're still not a great team, but nobody's great in this league. Georgia's probably as good as it gets, and they've struggled 2 weeks in a row. Alabama's got the potential, and if they win this week, then you're looking at it's down to they'll be A&M would only have one loss. Ole Miss would have one loss. Bama's got the tiebreaker over Ole Miss. I lean towards Bama winning the West, I think. But it could get crazy. If they lose a game, it could get really crazy. Stringer Films, players that go pro should pay back what they earned in college to the Bulldog Initiative. Maybe it's tough to ask those guys, or tough to tell them they need to be given back, but it would be nice to have some of that money, for sure. Jason Hanna or any of the portal guys doing anything? Not really. I mean, it's been kind of a rough portal haul. I mean, you haven't really gotten much from Freddie Roberson. Nick Barmira has been solid the last couple of weeks kicking off. But, I mean, all he's handling is kickoff duties right now. I'm trying to think who else. I mean, the defensive backs have not been good. Jacoby Albert's out for the season. I mean, they haven't really gotten much from anybody out of the portal this year. That's a big miss. Tom T, this D's been together for years. Arnett's defense never got worked like this week in and week out. Is Brock an issue? I don't know. I thought they schemed it up okay last week. They had to do a lot of different looks with their fronts because they just didn't have the defensive linemen. I mean, there was a couple of times where they had one D lineman with his hand in the ground. And I think Crumity stood up, rushing. It was rough. I mean, right now they're kind of hamstrung on some things, but they shouldn't be this bad either. If I were Arnett, I would take over the calls on defense. It's his job on the line. Yeah, and he could already be doing some of that. I don't know. I don't know how involved he is on the defense. That's something that we probably need to ask him. Washed up 168. I'm going to be real. These checkdowns and screens are not doing well at all. Yeah, they're not. Teams are kind of sniffing that out right now. They've got to take some shots down the field. They did it against South Carolina. They got to do more of that this week and moving forward. Matthew Anthony, what turns around faster, the baseball program or the football program? I'd say probably baseball. I have more faith in baseball because you're an elite program there. You can get athletes quicker there. And, as much as Chris Lemonis has struggled the last 2 years, the guy did win a national title. I mean, he's been to Omaha twice, won a national championship. So, I mean, he's actually proven it. Zach Arnett has not to this point. Sorry, I lost my place on these questions. Scrolling through here. Stringer complaining about the referees. It wasn't great. It never is when you play Alabama. Nathan Hamilton, any updates on the hump renovation? What do you think the overall opinion will be from the fans? Coming along. Nobody really knows about when it's going to be done. I asked Sam Purcell the other day. He doesn't really know when it's going to be done. He said he hadn't seen the inside, so I don't know. We've had a poster on our site. I think maybe Works in there or something. He's posted a few pictures. Doesn't look all that different, but I think, people were expecting the hump to look totally different on the inside. They didn't change anything other than one side of the hump, one section of the hump is now a different set of chair backs, I believe, and going to be club level up there. And they've changed the concourses a little bit. And then the outside, they've changed a lot of it. there's just not a lot of updates to give right now, but they're kind of running out of time. They got, I think, a month and a half or so left before the season starts. So, got to get it done. Anil, why have we not tried four-man defensive line? Well, they don't have the guys right now. Is the big problem. Defensive line is not as talented as some of the others in the past, and they don't really have the bodies. They're going to have to get some of these freshmen are probably going to have to get out there. That's kind of the issue. And we talk about Matt Brock. Is he the problem? It's hard to know because I don't know if they have the personnel to run this defense. And they don't really have the personnel to run a 4-3 either. So, the defensive linemen are just not there for the Bulldogs right now. They've got to recruit better there. Random Yoda, if we can get to 7-5 or 8-4, will everyone calm down, or do we need to win out? No, I think everybody would be pumped with 7-5 or 8-4. The problem is getting there. It's going to be tough, but they've been in this situation before and made a run later on in the season, so they'll have their shot. These games are winnable. They just have to figure it out. Stringer Films, yes, Mike Wright has one more year left. Wispy Crispy. Hell State, but I'm bummed about how unfortunately bad the consistency is from game to game on either side of the ball. I only say this because we have a lot of juniors and seniors. Yeah, that's kind of the disappointing thing about this is you have a ton of guys that have been around for 4, 5, 6 years. Most of the players out there have been here for at least 3 years, and even some of the ones that are new faces, they've been in a college program for 2 or 3 years. So, it's disappointing to see that. They should be better than this. Even if the coaching's bad, they should be able to work through that and have some better showings on each side of the ball, and they just haven't at this point. John Landry, I genuinely think if Arnett got a proven DC, we would have a completely different story. Probably so. You get a really good guy. He could scheme it up probably. Probably wouldn't have beaten LSU, but could have beat South Carolina. Right now, that's the only game that I think State really could have won. They could have been better against LSU, but that game was such a, it was. I don't think that they were good enough on that day to beat LSU. They weren't good enough to beat Alabama, and both teams just looked like they overmatched State. So I don't know if just simply being better on defense would have helped them in either one of those games, but they could have beaten South Carolina. How about that? On Thunder and Lightning, you talk about things being off of the game atmosphere, lights, music, etc. Do we know if that is being vocalized to the athletic department? We'd love to see that fixed. I don't know about lights and all that, but they've definitely heard some things about the complaints on the atmosphere, and I thought the atmosphere was much better on Saturday. There's certain things that they've got to get fixed in the offseason. The speakers system, the sound, they've got to figure that out. I don't know what the heck is going on, but I can't hear anything coming from the speakers. It's very muffled, and that's been a problem for years. So that's got to be handled, and it's time to get in on the LED thing. The lights, that's at this point it's gotten past whether or not it's important or not. It's just annoying now that you're basically the only place that doesn't have those. And they're so easy to put in, and they're not as expensive as people make them out to be. I know high school stadiums that have LED lights right now and do light shows. So and these high school stadiums are in 2A football. So, that's something that's got to be addressed. And then, you got to make Davis Wade more attractable to fans. Because right now you're battling the television set, and people wanting to stay home and grill on their grill. I mean, you got to have better food options. You got to have entertainment. That's what football is all about. And then on the on-field products, got to get better for Mississippi State. So there's so many things they've got to improve on, I think, for people to really kind of buy in to coming to football games. It's going to be tougher and tougher to do that. Guy Dossett, I'm rooting for Arnett, but if you go 0 in conference play and lose ugly in the Egg Bowl, that would probably be too much to bear. There would be really, really loud noises coming from this fan base if that happened. Really loud. Travis McCain, chances Chris Parson wins the QB job next year. It's wide open, man. It's up to him. He'll have his shot. Scala Winder? Scala? At 4-8, can we then have a conversation about making changes so football doesn't fall to baseball status? What do you think about Petrino? I wouldn't touch Petrino just because of his baggage. I feel like there's some people out there you could possibly get better than him. But yeah, I mean, at 4-8, that's definitely going to be one of the conversations. I can promise you that. Stringer Films, it's time for you to find whatever makes the most money and get into it, man. You're the guy that I'm putting in charge of becoming a billionaire. Nathan, rank these Davis Wade Stadium upgrades from most to least important. LED lights, better sound system, south end zone. Most important would probably be the end zone. But as far as what they could do right away, it would be LED lights and better sound system. 1A and 1B. Get those fixed first, and then work on the south end zone. And I think Zach Selman is heavily involved on the project of the south end zone. He's working through things right now about, what do they do there and what, makes the most sense. There was, I know John Cohen was wanting to gut out the press box, which is still, I think, in the plans possibly for next year, and make that a club level. So that's probably going to happen here in the near future. And Cohen wanted to move the media to the M Club building, but I don't think that Selman wants to do that. He doesn't want that to be where the press box is. So they're thinking through other options, and I'm not sure what the end result's going to be there. Jackson, at least Barbet isn't DMing people criticizing him like the Arkansas offensive coordinator. Yeah, that's not a good look from Dan Enos. He's answering emails from students, I think, that are criticizing him and firing back at him. So I've never had a lot of faith in Dan Enos at Arkansas. Coming into the season, I feel like that's one. I'm massively wrong about Mississippi State. One of the things that I think I was right about was Arkansas and their offense under Dan Enos not being a great fit for KJ Jefferson, because he's kind of just faded into the background of SEC quarterback talk lately. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that Rocket Sanders has been hurt, but it hasn't been pretty offensively for them. They've certainly been better than Mississippi State, though. Heath Johnson, do you think Arnett's better as just a DC? I know it's a frustrating question, but I'm just curious. Right now, yeah, but he's got the opportunity to grow, continue to grow. That's the space where he has been most comfortable. That's one thing that we have to remember. He was able to operate in his own space, didn't have to talk to the media. He just handled his group. That's all he worried about. He's had to balance, image, press conferences, recruiting, a day-to-day operation of college football. I mean, there's so many things that's getting thrown at him right now that it's just hard for him to do what he was doing as a defensive coordinator and be himself. I think that's been the biggest thing for him. But he's got a chance to overcome that. Right now, he's just, it hasn't been the best transition for him. Random Yoda, how different would this year look with Tyrus Wheat? I think they'd look totally different on defense. They need a guy to set the edge. They just don't have that right now. They don't have a linebacker that can do it. Terry Russell did it a little bit the other day. I mean, he was picking up double teams. I mean, they just don't have a whole lot of guys that could get to the quarterback off the edge or force him out of the pocket. They're getting way too much time in the pocket, and guys are getting open. It's hurt not having a guy like that for sure. Coley Cox, do you think we'll see Chris Parson this weekend if we get a good lead? That's possible. I don't know because if you're still at the middle of the season and they're wanting to be careful with the red shirt thing, I mean, they could bring him in there and burn a game. I don't know. He's also, just started to get healthy from his knee. They might not want to rush him in there. I don't know. I want to see a ton of Mike Wright, though. I want to see that guy. I mean, hopefully State can come out and get a big lead in the first half and get Mike Wright in there for the entire second half or something. We didn't even get to see him that much in the Southeastern Louisiana game as far as getting total possessions. I don't know why that's happening. I just can't fathom it. And we're not getting a straight answer on it. For those that want us to keep asking that question, we don't get a question. I mean, we don't get an answer. So I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's just completely inept in practice. He didn't look that way when we saw him, but it is it's a mystery why he can't get a possession. Jason Hanna have Kamari Rogers or Radar played at any cornerback? I don't believe so. I don't know what's happening there. Travis, before the season started, I bought a vintage State polo from Goodwill that has a Croom-era Mississippi State logo on it. Am I to blame for the bad offensive play? Yes, I'm 100% blaming you for this, Travis. That was a massive mistake. Why don't you just get a maroon is all that matters shirt at this point? What are you doing? There's so many great logos out there, man. Come on. Rodney Rhodes. If we do go 4-8, I say fire everyone but Coach Bump and Hughes and tap Mullen. Not betting on it, but Mullen with Wright or Parson would turn the offense around quick. Yeah, I just don't see. I don't even know if Dan would be interested in coming back, but I don't know if Mark Keenum would be interested in having him. I think that ship sailed. Random Yoda, is Mike Wright not getting as many reps to keep from controversy? Possibly. They might not want to create that in the locker room, but I mean, you're going to anyway if you continue to see struggles from Will Rogers. That's going to get louder and louder. A couple of weeks ago, people were chanting for we want Mike. They were chanting for Mike Wright to get in the game. That kind of stuff's just going to keep getting worse and worse. I mean, Will hears it. Mike Wright hears it. Zach Arnett hears it. It's I don't see why it would hurt to have two quarterbacks, one guy taking a possession, another guy taking another possession. I don't see how that hurts. At least try it out. There's nothing to lose at this point. You've lost 3 straight games. The offense has been up and down. You had a bad game offensively, then a good game, then another bad one. So, I mean, the worst that can happen is you're bad again. I mean, I don't see what could go wrong there. And Mike Wright it's not like you've brought in a guy from Delta State. No offense to our Fighting Okras out there. But it's not like you took a guy from D2 or D3 or Group of 5. You took a guy that's played a lot of SEC snaps. He played a lot at Vanderbilt. He won games at Vanderbilt against good teams. So I I don't understand. I just at least give the guy possession, but there must be something going on behind the scenes that we just don't know about. Hey, thanks, Robbie. You've somehow lowered my blood pressure. I don't know how. This hasn't been a totally positive experience, but I'll take it. I'm happy to be here. If you need me to talk you through tough times in life, I'm happy to do that. I need that sometimes as well. All right, anybody else? If we have any more questions, drop them in, comments. Mississippi State taking on Western Michigan Saturday at 11 a.m. SEC Network. Hope to see you guys there. If not, totally understand if you don't want to sit through that. But, don't give up. Don't give up hope just yet. I want to remind you, come check us out. 247 Sports. We got a $1 deal right now over the next 2 months. You sign up right now, you get free access. Well, I guess it's not free, but you get access for $1 for 2 months. And that's a great deal, if you ask me. So you can come check us out there. Corey, can we go after Dion in 1 year or so? Be nice, wouldn't it? He'd definitely move the needle. It'd be worth the commitment. But, somebody's going to be coming after him hard in the offseason. I'm very interested to see what his next stop is. I doubt it's going to be Colorado for long. All right. Well, I got some spaghetti to eat, and I'm getting fat, so I need food. So, anyway, we will move on. And I hope to see you guys this weekend. And then we'll have a reaction video after the game, win or lose. I'll give my thoughts on that. We got a reaction video right now as well on the site, if you would, or on YouTube, if you would like to go check that out and kind of hear my thoughts from. I think I put that up Sunday. You can get my thoughts on the Alabama game, and I'll give my thoughts on Western Michigan as well. So looking forward to that. We will push through this week. You guys are going to get through this. There's been tougher times, I promise you. I've sat through some tougher times. So we'll see how things go from there. I'm here for you guys. Don't cry. Don't be upset. I'm here for you. If you guys need me, let me know. If you see me around this week in the Junction, at the game, whatever, say hey. Be happy to talk to you. But we will be doing that later. See ya.